Welcome to Silver Bar Stacker, folks. I hope everybody's doing well and enjoying their day. Now, today we've got an interesting episode because we're going to be talking a little bit about the items that I tend to purchase when attending live auctions. Now, live auctions are not a type of format where I typically purchase my items. However, occasionally I do purchase items in that format, and mostly I'm purchasing items in that sort of a spur of the moment format because I'm more or less trying to support another member of the community. And I think a lot of individuals who attend some of these YouTube auctions that happen a lot here in the YouTube community, a lot of individuals attend those not just to get deals, which does happen, but it's mainly just to support those individuals. And a lot of times if those individuals have kind of like a more loyal following, which I wouldn't say that I have the most loyal following, then you can actually get a hefty premium back on those items. However, in a lot of cases, especially in the cases of whatnot sellers, a lot of whatnot sellers sell at a hefty loss, especially when they're early on in their whatnot selling careers. So the reason I wanted to talk a little bit about the buying side, not that I have a lot of experience buying in a live auction format. Typically the types of things that I buy, I will buy them on a more pre-planned and a longer term time frame, and so I will have at least a full day's worth, at least a few hours worth, in some cases weeks or months, to pre-plan a purchase. And for the larger purchases, a lot of times I'm pre-planning a very long time ahead and saving up for those purchases. So I don't typically like personally to do a lot of spur of the moment 10-second, 5-second, 30-second auctions, because for me, I like to do my own research. With that said, a lot of people like that gamification of the live auction format, and so there is a lot of people out there. Many of you may not be aware of this, but there's a lot of people out there who are very much interested in purchasing in that sort of a format. They find it very fun, and they find it perhaps more helpful because they can perhaps talk to the person before they purchase the item, perhaps even wheel and deal and get a slightly better deal than they otherwise might be able to on other online stores or places like eBay or something like that. So with that said, the reason I wanted to talk about the things that I'm buying is because I myself am quite a hefty seller as well, in the sense that I sell quite a bit as well as buy quite a bit. And so because I'm selling, the thing is that even though I don't buy a lot of stuff in a live auction format, boy, I sell quite a bit in a live format setting. I would say at least 90, if not more, % of the items that I sell and the dollar value of the items that I sell would be in a live auction format. And so because I do that, I have a certain type of thing that I offer. I typically kind of specialize in the vintage silver type of stuff, and I have a few refiners that I really like to collect stuff by and that I sort of call my specialties. And those include kind of Engelhard, Sunshine Mining, Johnson Matthey, USVI Ingot Company, Bunker Hill, Draper Mint. These are some of the refiners I like to collect items by. There's a couple other refiners, Hoffman and Hoffman, Geiger, even some unique Geiger pieces I'd like to collect. And so these are some of the items that I like to collect, and these are the things that I know a little bit more information about. Not everything about those refiners, but at least select pieces I know a little bit more than the average Joe about those items. And because I know a little bit more about those items, and that's what I collect, I'm a collector first and a seller second. I actually have no real incentive to sell anything. The only reason I do it is because simultaneously while I'm talking about things, sometimes people like what they see, and occasionally if I've got a duplicate of something, I don't mind letting one of those items go. And so and I try to give people a fair value. It's not really necessarily about profit, though I do like to make a little bit of profit. Certainly I wouldn't sell one of my prized possessions in my stack at a loss or at break even unless it was to a very, very good friend. So with that said, I want to say that I'm a stacker first, a collector first, and a seller second. And you often see the seller side of me, especially if you catch some of my live auctions, but a lot of times you don't see the buyer in me. And so, a lot of other sellers, they have a very, very different inventory compared to the things that I have. And so some of the things that I have the opportunity to purchase on other stores, to some of the viewers here, they may just seem like, hey, this is just run-of-the-mill stuff. To me, it's not run-of-the-mill stuff, because this is stuff that really never makes an appearance in my stack. Some of these items are actually making the first ever appearance in my stack, which may be very odd to some of you, but it's the truth. And so let's go ahead and take a look and see some of the pickups that we got here. And then I'm super excited to open up another auction package that we got from our friend Spectacular. You may or may not know, Spectacular also holds occasional auctions on Whatnot as well, and so you're definitely going to want to check those auctions, because those are a good time, and he has quite a bit of people tuned in there, so it's quite a bit of a party as well. And so this is actually the package that I'm quite excited to crack open into. But before I do that, let me just quickly show you some of the things that I picked up from another seller. Now, this seller was a seller on Whatnot, kind of new to Whatnot, but they're actually a very high-profile big seller on eBay, and I had actually purchased from them a few times on eBay, and they're a huge seller on eBay, actually, like 500,000 feedback and 22,000 followers. Just a huge seller. And I caught them on Whatnot because I recognized their name, their store name. And they have a storefront on the East Coast as well, I believe in New Jersey. And so I was expecting this to be not a good auction to catch, because I was thinking, oh, there's such a big store, it's going to be jam-packed with people, and you're not going to have great odds of getting a deal, right? You want fewer people, or you want maybe perhaps a less knowledgeable seller when you're looking to get a deal on something. And in this case, you have neither. And so I decided to tune in, because I only saw about 15 or 16 people tuned in, which to me is not a huge amount of people. I mean, I used to get around 10 or so people, and now I've just started to maybe get around that many people. But I'm a much smaller seller than somebody who's received 500,000 reviews in their selling career. So for me, I was just thinking to myself, wow, that's quite a few amount of people that are tuned into this auction. So let me go ahead and see what's going on here. And so I actually managed to get a whole slew of stuff. In fact, none of the stuff is stuff that I actually would ever have otherwise purchased, but I basically purchased stuff with the intention of just reselling it here on an auction. I'm going to resell these back to the community who decides to tune into my next Whatnot auction, and this is all going to be liquidated, I mean, almost immediately, in one day, out the same day. And so here we have a selection of 90% and 40% silver here, a little bit of junk silver, and these were just being sold in lots of like $1 face, right? And so I was just swiping, as you do on Whatnot, and it was taking some of these down from anywhere from 7 to 11, 12 bucks, and I felt like that's a pretty damn good deal for $1 face. So that's what that was. It just felt pretty cool to be able to do that. I felt like I was getting a pretty good deal, because there wasn't that many people really bidding it up. And this is not something, I've never bought a Walking Liberty. I almost forgot what is this even called? But thankfully I knew, yeah, it is a Walking Liberty, just because I've heard people say that. But this is actually the very first 3 Walking Liberties I've ever purchased that have ever made their way into my stack. Quarters, I feel like maybe I've had a quarter or two, maybe I've gotten gifted 1 or 2 quarters. Kennedys, I've had maybe 1 or 2. I've had a lot more Benjis than Kennedys, so these are things that I don't typically have, but these are something that are very, very good for either not quite suitable for a giveaway, but definitely something that would be suitable for a dollar star or a startup melt, or if just something you started like $5 or $10 for somebody who wants something cheap. Because a lot of times people aren't looking for an ounce of silver, they just want to grab, like a $5 or $10 piece. So, one of these I could start at $5, one of this I could start at 10 or $11, right? And this right here was the first piece that I got kind of not coerced into buying, but that I just kind of felt like, this is a crazy cheap price. So I ended up getting this. I'm not even sure for how much, but this is a 90% silver round right here. These are going for like 30-35 bucks on eBay, and I'm pretty sure I spent less than that. So that was what got me first kind of hooked on this auction. I ended up getting a series of constitutional junk silver here, and then I got myself a little herd of buffaloes. I actually stashed them away, but I got like 4 or 5 different types of generic buffaloes, because buffaloes are something I never buy. I always, talk, quite lowly about buffaloes, and I've said in the past multiple times, I'm never going to have a buffalo in my stack, but, they had a few different types of buffaloes, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to build myself a herd of buffaloes. What's the harm in that? And so I ended up doing just that. I ended up just grabbing a nice herd of buffaloes. So these ones right here are just some pamps, but if we flip these over, we got a nice herd of various buffaloes, and these are all different buffaloes. So I felt that was pretty cool, So these ones I'll probably just, at least for now, put in the personal stack. Got a couple extra pamps as well here. Grabbed a bar for myself as well, just to have one example of each of the things that I think are kind of neat, and then the rest of these things can just go. Got a lot of these pamp bars, and in fact I got one of these bars as low as like 33 bucks, which is crazy. That's just a crazy price for an ounce of silver, in my opinion. And I paid up to maybe 40 bucks or so for one of these bars, and I don't think I spent more than 40 bucks an ounce for any of these pieces of silver. So to me, that's a great deal. I was only paying about $8 and change for shipping. I think USPS actually just upped their rate, so now it might be a little bit more expensive moving forward. But at that time, it's only about $8 and change for 2-day priority shipping, and that happens after you get about one pound of calculated shipping. And I think that's just because Whatnot has some sort of a agreement with USPS where the shipping is kind of subsidized a little bit there. So that's really, really cool, because it's just very cool, because that makes it better for everybody. It's better for the seller, it's very good for the buyer, because they really don't have to pay much. You could have a 70-pound package, and it's only going to cost you $8 or $9 to ship the thing out. That's crazy. It's a crazy good thing. I have individuals who I purchase from, when they have retail shipping through USPS, it costs them $100+ sometimes to ship items. I just had a package come in this week. It would cost $60 almost for the individual to ship it out. So this is very, very good. That it's good for the seller, because the buyers pay the shipping. It's good for the buyer because the shipping is not too expensive at all, right? And so I was able to just pay $8 and change for shipping, and got all of this stuff at basically around melt, or a few bucks above melt, really. So even though it's not stuff I typically carry, here's the problem. I specialize in premium vintage silver, so my cheapest ounce of silver starts at $40 nowadays. So it's nice to have some items that I can start a little bit under $40 for individuals who are looking for something that's not going to break the bank. Even a common prospector goes for over 40 nowadays. So that's the problem. Go ahead and see what we got. Now Speg has provided us with this cool freaking sticker. I believe it's a sticker. Let's find out. I don't know if this is a sticker. It could just be a thing. I think it's just a paper thing. Yeah, it's just a paper thing, I think. Nope, it's a sticker. Yes, it's a sticker. Okay, cool. It's a really mini sticker frack. I love fractionals, and I love sticker fracks. Even my stickers are sticker fracks, and look, they're very, very similar sized. I like the sticker fracks. More compact is better. So this is a very cool sticker. I've already taken off the adhesive backing. So we got a sticky sticker that we're about to put onto our board. We're going to put this right under Stack That Gold. Got a little spot in between Stack That Gold, Spokane Silver Stacker, Raven Ivy. It looks great there. Okay, perfect. Now we have a nice blurry camera. And let's see what else we picked up from Spectacular's auction, because it was a very fun auction. There was about 3 to 4 times more people tuned into this auction than are typically tuned into mine, which made it a lot more fun, because sometimes my auctions admittedly can get very boring once I start getting tired and nobody else is into it. Sometimes I just decide, hey, I'm going to end it. So let's go ahead and see what we ended up winning. I was very, very pleased with the items that I was able to pick up from Speg. And let's go ahead and take a look at what we got. We got some super nice items from him. Let's see what it is. Just 3 little nuggets here for us to get through. And let's start off with this first one, if we can. Ooh, something very familiar to me. An Engelhard Prospector and an Engelhard bar. Now right off the bat I can tell you here, 75,000 vintage, because all Prospectors are 75,000 vintage, but we got a 1986, same year that the American Silver Eagle came out. And here we got a large E silver bar. Now JK Pioneer told me something interesting about these bars. You want to flip this over, and there's nothing interesting to see here. But something I will tell you that you want to look out for exclusively on these large E-bars, not the small E-bars, but the large E-bars, is sometimes this Engelhard logo is flipped and upside down. You flip it over like that, and it's upside down rather than right side up. And another thing, and this is something that JK Pioneer told me, is that sometimes right over here, this little, what do you want to call that? That little horizontal octagon logo on the corner. Sometimes what happens is when you flip it, oh, this is not the right example. This is the example where it's flipped upside down. Well, sometimes this little logo section on the corner will take up the entire corner. See how here I was just like cutting up there? Sometimes it'll be taking up that entire corner. So that's another thing to keep out for. It's another variant, right? So that's very, very interesting to know. Let's put that bar away. So here we got a 1.15 million vintage large E silver bar and a 1986 Prospector. Beautiful wins here. Was super happy to add some more of those to the stack, because let me tell you, we've been selling through these freaking Prospectors like hotcakes. I realized how freaking few some of these dates that I had, and I was like, geez Louise, will not hurt to purchase some more of these, because the thing is that those are very recognizable items that people are always looking for. And so if you're running a store that specializes in Engelhard, you better have the Prospectors all the time. So that's what I try to do. It's just that, my gosh, I used to be able to sell them for under 40. Now got to sell them for over 40. Now here we got a couple more 86s, and it looks like he just had a nice pristine tube of 86s over there that he was unloading on us, and I was making sure to grab as many of them as I could. Now over here we got an 85, and over here we got a toned up 86. On the top, some very, very nice toning. Now this is something that I noticed on the auction that nobody else noticed. I know nobody else noticed this because I got this round at a steal. And I know nobody noticed this, but I noticed this when this was happening on the auction. And some maybe a little bit more advanced Engelhard stackers, including a few customers on my site who have purchased this specific collection of items that I have available on the site, are already aware of this. But for the 1985 1-ounce round, there's actually 3 different variations of the 1-ounce standard production round. Now, we're not talking about the fractionals. We know in 1985, there was also some fractional Prospectors, and that's the only year they made fractional Prospectors. But in 1985, there's also 3 different small variations in the 1985 Prospector. So, one of those variations happens to be what I like to call the bold date. And the bold date variation, in my view and in my experience after sifting through very, very many Prospectors, would be the most difficult to find prospector, and other collectors who also are very, very avid prospector collectors have kind of agreed with my with the assessment that I've made here, that the bold date is definitely the hardest to find. I noticed while this one and only lone 1985 was on auction, I noticed there was a bold date. And the way you can identify a bold date, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, it's hard to identify sometimes, because right here, if you look at that 1985, it is bold. It is not like a larger date that is like a thinner font. That is what I like to call the large date. This is a bold date. And the reason this is a bold date, because that third variation also has a bold date. But the bold date, the one that's the rare bold date, that one, you got to look at the side of the pan. And if at the side of the pan you see just a couple specks and not like a whole bunch of defined ripples, that's going to be a bold date, baby. That's going to be one of the more old, stripped back. I think they're older maybe, because they seem a little bit more stripped back and less refined. So there's only just a couple specks of ripples there, right? If you saw a whole bunch of ripples there, and also that kind of boldish date, that would be a standard, like I like to call that the standard. That one, to me, I see the most of those, right? But over here, you've got no ripples. There are very, very few ripples, just a couple specks, and a bold font on that 1985 date. So this is right here a bold date, and these right here, hefty premium. I mean, I'll sell the whole set for $300, and you know the other rounds are a little bit easier to come by. This one is the hard one to come by, so really the premium on this round, in my view, is over $100 just for this bold date. So crazy find, especially considering I got it for less than $40 or maybe around $40, maybe a couple bucks above $40. Crazy awesome that I was able to secure a bold date prospector. So we got a bunch of 86s, and we got a bold date 85, and we got that beautiful 1.15 million vintage, very proof-like Engelhard silver bar. And last but not least, we've got one last little chunker here, and let's see what we got here. Let's see if it's just going to be a whole bunch more Engelhards. You know me, I love Engelhards, and some people ask me, hey, you know, do you just buy Engelhards, or do you really like Engelhards? Yeah, I really love Engelhards, and definitely over 50% of my stack is Engelhard, but I think possibly quite a bit more, but definitely I can definitively say, because I've actually checked it, definitely more than 50% of my stack is Engelhard. So another thing that I was snatching up, and these are the things that I was actually picking up for, believe it or not, cheaper than the prospectors that I was getting. I think I was paying over $40 for the prospectors, honestly, but these poured bars I was getting for cheaper on average than the prospectors, which is crazy, because poured silver, in my view, should be going for a bit more. Granted, these are poured silver bars that are a little bit more modern, right? These are vintage rounds and bars. These are more modern pours. These are pours that you could still go buy to this day. You just go to Prospector Gold and Gems. By the way, Prospector Gold and Gems sell on whatnot as well. They're always selling gold nuggets almost on a daily basis, selling gold nuggets, and doing crazy auctions and games. So that's interesting to note as a side note. But I purchased these bars not from Prospector Gold and Gems. I got these from Spec, and so these are really cool, and these are still easily obtainable just by going to them and purchasing them directly from PG&G. But I got these for probably cheaper than you would purchase from them from. So that was very cool, because I feel like I got a killer deal on not just one, but 3 of these. And one of the bars that I really like to collect by PG&G are going to be those weed leaf bars. So I like those a lot, but I don't think I had any of these standard ones, so it was good to be able to add a few duplicates of these to the stack. So anyways, I thought these were some really nice auction ones. I want to say definitely that I was much happier with the auction wins from Spec, because these are much more my style, and I feel that he has a very good taste in a selection of bullion, so it makes for a very fun auction. These items, it was cool to pick up some cheap items, but really none of this stuff is really my style at all. So a lot of the stuff is just going to be going in one day again, like I said, and out the same day. So it was nice to get some deals. It was nice to support the people in the community, but definitely was super happy with these spectacular pickups, and I really like that little sticker frack. So I hope you enjoyed this unboxing. I know it was a long one again, I'm a little rusty, but you know me, I like them long. So hope you have a good rest of the day, and we'll see you on the next one. Oh, and if you haven't had a chance to yet, be sure to check out our social media landing page at solo.to/silverbarstacker. There you can find our direct website link, which is silverbarstacker.com, as well as our links to our other social media channels, such as this very YouTube channel, our Facebook page, our Instagram page, our TikTok page, our Twitter page, and we also have the link to our Whatnot page, which is where we actually run our live auctions and actually also have all of these same SBS drops that we hold. We run those same drops on our Whatnot store, and we also have live auctions happening literally all the time. So the way that you can be notified about those auctions is to be following us there on whatnot.com/user/silverbarstacker. And we hope to see you there, folks. Thank you, and have a great day.